All right, everybody, we're going to get started. So thanks so much for joining us for our Programs of Legal Services of Long Island series. Today, we're going to discuss our Volunteer Lawyers Project in Nassau County and our Nassau Community Legal Help Project. So some of you may have noticed that we have changed our name. If you haven't heard already, or you got my email this morning about it. So Nassau Suffolk Law Services, which we've essentially been since 1966, although first was a Nassau committee, and then it was Nassau Suffolk. There's a lot of different changes over the years, but recently we did change our name to Legal Services of Long Island. And that's mostly just to reflect who we are and what we do more accurately. So please feel free to check out our new website, look at the video that we produced talking about how we've evolved over the past almost, I believe it's almost 60 years, so very long time. So thanks again for joining us. Just a few housekeeping, if you could just keep your microphone muted. Put questions in the chat, or you can raise your hand. Also, if you would like a copy of these slides, I can send them out to you. Feel free to either email me separately, or you can put your email in the chat and I can email you the slides separately in the event that you would like the slides. So in case you're not familiar, Legal Services of Long Island is Long Island's largest provider of free civil legal services. We handle over 6,000 cases every year. Our type of cases we take are direct representation, phone consultations. We handle, brief service or referrals to other agencies. We have offices in Hempstead, Islandia, and Riverhead. And our staff includes attorneys, paralegals, and social workers. And we do have partnerships with community agencies as well, such as Empire Justice and others. Here are 3 different office locations. Hempstead, Islandia, and Riverhead. Please, if you or your clients, please make sure that they're calling in the county in which they reside. That's how we separate each of the cases. We have about 20 different programs, including areas in family law, disability and health related projects such as mental health or education and disability rights. We have housing programs, including eviction prevention and foreclosure defense. And then other areas of law include consumer debt, veterans' rights, public benefits, our senior citizen project in Nassau County. All of the descriptions of these programs are on our website. So if you want to look into it a little bit closer, you can take a look at our website. And then we have our Legal Support Center for Advocates, which many of you I'm sure are familiar with. This is specifically for advocates such as social workers, medical personnel, guidance counselors, could be legislative staff, anybody who maybe has a client and the client is facing a legal issue. Feel free to give us a call so we can see if either it's a case we can handle or we can give you some kind of brief legal information or forms that you may need or a proper referral to a different entity. We also host community trainings. So, that whether that's outside the office or through our virtual legal information trainings, and we have newsletters that we publish every few months, and then we also send our advocacy tips through the email as well. So definitely visit our website. You can sign up for our emails, see what upcoming trainings we have, our self-help resources, and other different things on our website. Although we won't really be giving out legal information today, if we do, just remember that what we are saying today is legal information. It's not legal advice, because legal advice depends upon the specific facts of each situation. So just keep that in mind. That's always important to have advice with a competent legal counsel. All right, so now we're going to talk about our Volunteer Lawyers Project in Nassau County. So I'm going to pass it off to the coordinator, Risa Brafman.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Risa Brafman, and I'm the pro bono coordinator and staff attorney in the Volunteer Lawyers Project. Thanks so much for joining us. Additional team members include Rez Islam, who's the supervising attorney and the deputy executive director of Legal Services of Long Island. We also have 2 paralegals who are important members of the team, and they connect with clients on a daily basis. They're part of the presentation today and will introduce themselves. And we have a community of volunteer attorneys who are generous, they're kind, and they donate their time and expertise to our team and clients, and we can't thank them enough. Next slide.
Hello, my name is Stephanie Gerland. I'm one of the paralegals in the Volunteer Lawyers Project unit. And so I'm just going to be talking about the eligibility first. So we can go to the next slide. So for clients, they must be a US citizen or a permanent resident, live in Nassau County, and have a legal issue within our priority guidelines. There are some exceptions that may apply for citizenship and residency in certain circumstances. So for instance, in some situations, a person can be seeking asylum, they may qualify for services. We always say when in doubt, you can always have the client call to get screened just to see if they qualify. In addition, there's also income and asset guidelines that we go by. So we would be asking the client more specific questions about their income and their assets to see if they qualify for a pro bono attorney. And if they don't qualify or they have a legal issue that we're unable to handle, we make referrals to stuff like the Nassau County Bar Association, the Lawyer Referral Service, or other agencies that would possibly be able to assist the client with their legal issue if we're not able to. You can go to the next slide.
The Volunteer Lawyers Project was created in 1981. It's a joint venture between the Legal Services of Long Island and the Nassau County Bar. It's a really innovative program, and it helps to fill a need by expanding the availability of legal services in Nassau County. But not only does it help the clients, it actually gives an opportunity to volunteer attorneys to give back, to provide and expand, like to work on their skills and expand their knowledge, and also at the same time represent clients and volunteer by providing free legal services. Some of the areas that the VLP unit provides assistance in are Article 17A guardianships, Chapter 7 bankruptcy, divorce, healthcare proxies, name changes, power of attorneys, and wills. So please keep in mind though, just because yours or your client's needs fall into these categories doesn't mean that we can guarantee that they'll get representation through the Volunteer Lawyers Project. Each case is evaluated to see if it will be a good fit for a volunteer attorney. We look at the complexity of the case, we look at the client's ability to work with a volunteer attorney, and we look at whether the case is a placeable case for a volunteer to provide full representation. In addition, each of these areas have different criteria or nuances that we delve into with our clients and consider. We're going to share a little bit about that now, and Eva will start off by sharing some of what we consider when evaluating bankruptcies.
Hi, everyone. My name is Eva, and I'm one of the paralegals in the Volunteer Lawyers Project unit. So I'll be discussing the 3 criteria that the clients have to meet in order to file bankruptcy with us. So the first one is the client must wait a minimum of 8 years if they're like a serial filer, I guess we would say, to file bankruptcy again. So say if they filed before, they must wait the 8 years, and then they would provide us with their discharge paperwork from the jurisdiction that they filed the bankruptcy before. The second criteria is the client needs to wait 2 months. So it has to be more than 2 months since they last used their credit card to file. And then the third criteria is the debt has to be minimum of $10,000. So if the client meets all 3 of these criteria, then what we do is we'll screen them just like Stephanie discussed in the slide before to see if they're eligible for VLP, and then we'll send them out an intake to fill out. Now, it's important to note that on the intake, there's 2 things that they have to provide to us, which is important is the balance of their debt or like their credit card debt and when they last used their credit cards, like the dates, because that is important. Now, once we get that and we review, we assign them with an attorney for the clinic, which is usually done over the phone. And that attorney will assess to see if the client can move forward with bankruptcy. And then if the client can move forward with bankruptcy, then we will find a bankruptcy attorney to provide full representation.
We don't handle Chapter 11, Chapter 13, or bankruptcies involving student loan discharges. In addition, we're unable to handle cases where the client's house is in foreclosure and they want to file bankruptcy exclusively to buy time. Also, many times clients come to us and they're in a rush to file bankruptcy immediately. As you know, you heard from Eva, our process takes time, both internally and externally, in finding attorneys. So if someone's really crunched for time, we suggest that they hire a private attorney.
And healthcare proxies, they handle creating a will, creating a power of attorney, or creating a healthcare proxy. Our attorneys don't handle probate matters or contested wills. It's also important to note that we need to speak with the person who is calling, who wants to create a will for themselves or a power of attorney or a healthcare proxy. Sometimes we get calls from family members who want to become the power of attorney or healthcare proxy of one of their family members, but we need to speak with that family member to make sure that that's something that they want to do. It's also important to note that the person calling must have capacity to create a will, a power of attorney, or a healthcare proxy for themselves. And also our volunteer attorneys, they don't create trusts.
And we get a high volume of inquiries around divorces. So we give priority to defendants who have been served and also to domestic violence survivors. It's very difficult to place cases for plaintiffs who want to initiate divorces. Many attorneys are not willing to take those cases pro bono unless there are compelling circumstances. So if those cases come in, we're looking at those circumstances and only place them if we have capacity. Also, if someone already has an attorney or they had an attorney and they want a new attorney, we can't get involved in those cases. But anything that we can assist with, we will provide referrals. With regard to 17A guardianships, a few of the things we ask at the initial stage are, who do they want guardianship over? What are their ages? What disability or diagnosis do they have? And can they communicate? And can they do daily tasks? We also ask if an adult would, in their life, is going to consent to the guardianship or contest the guardianship. And we do ask clients to provide medical records and testing documentation to substantiate the diagnosis and the need for guardianship. And the last category that we provide full representation for is name change matters. But they're name change matters that are exclusive to clients who identify as transgender, gender nonconforming, or non-binary. Some of the things that we may ask those clients preliminarily are their legal name, their preferred name, their pending judgments, spousal and child support payments, and whether there are justice involved. In addition to the Volunteer Lawyers Project handling name changes, we also have another unit within the agency called the Human Rights Project, and they handle those cases as well. Next slide.
Okay,
I'm sorry, really quick. We have a question, Risa.
Okay, and Sharon, before the question, I think we're on the slide previous. I think you advanced already, so we have one more slide. Yes.
Are you ready for the question?
Yes.
Okay. So Cheryl asked, please explain expanded immigration eligibility for services when there is domestic violence.
Sharon, do you want to take that? I mean, I know we have different criteria for exceptions and they vary.
Yeah, so for our immigration eligibility, typically if someone is undocumented, we cannot handle that due to restrictions that we have. However, when there's domestic violence, we have a domestic violence unit that helps with orders of protection. And that unit doesn't have the same immigration eligibility criteria. There are lots of exceptions. So that's why we always tell folks to please call us no matter what. So that way we can see if we can meet someone, put someone in those exceptions. For domestic violence, it really just depends on what the legal issue is. So if they're calling because they need an order of protection, that is related to the domestic violence. If they're calling because they need a bankruptcy and it's not related to the domestic violence, that's wouldn't be the same thing. So the domestic violence has to be actually related to the legal issue that we're going to be helping them out with. But we always tell folks, no matter what, please call us, no matter your status, because we may be able to find an exception for you or to find a proper referral, such as to Empire Justice or a different entity.
And I can add, with regard to divorces, there are we have had cases where domestic violence survivors have had the documentation that's required for us to, and do meet an exception at times, not all the time, but at times where we were able to place the case as with a volunteer attorney for a divorce.
Thank you.
Okay, so for how to reach us, clients can call the Volunteer Lawyers Project line at the number listed on the slide. They'll be prompted to leave a voicemail message where they'll state their name, the legal issue that they're calling about, and then a number that they can best be reached at. And then either myself or Eva will give the client a call back. It is important to note that we do receive a very high volume of calls, so it does take time to get back to everybody. When we do get back, if we're not able to assist the clients, we try to provide them with a referral who could possibly be able to assist them. And if they do, seems like something we are able to help with, then what we can do is do a screening on the phone to see if they qualify for our unit. And again, all of this takes some time, so that's why it takes a little bit to get back to everybody.
So we do accept walk-ins. We will do the initial screening on the phone, just like Stephanie just described, but we want to remind everyone also that sometimes our clients will come in and say that, they want to consult with an attorney. Our VLP attorneys don't work in the Hempstead office. They don't have offices here. And also we don't assist in filling out legal paperwork. So walk-ins are welcome. But, we will assess to see if we can assist you. If we can't, we'll provide you with referrals, just like Stephanie just discussed. And we just want everyone to know that we're located at 1 Helen Keller Way on the 5th floor in Hempstead, and we're by the train and the bus line.
And lastly, if you're an attorney and you're on this call and you are interested in volunteering, we encourage and take inquiries from attorneys interested in volunteering throughout the whole year. So just reach out to me at the email address rbrofman@nsls.legal. We also have an upcoming open house that we're in partnership with the Safe Center and the Nassau County Bar Association the end of October. So if you feel you can't do a full representation, but you want to help us that day, email me as well. And lastly, on behalf of me, Stephanie and Eva, we thank you for taking the time to learn about our unit, and we look forward to serving you and your clients. So thanks again.
Thank you, Risa, Stephanie, and Eva. So next up, we have the Nassau Community Legal Help Project, and I'm going to pass it up to Roberta Skoll.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Also, thank you so much for attending. The Nassau County Legal Help Project just actually hit our first anniversary. We started up in last September. There's Vivian Storm is our supervisor, and we have a paralegal who is up here also, Maria Sanchez, who is doing an outstanding job because the number of phone calls we get is just unreal, quite frankly. Where we meet, we won't call them clients, but we meet with low-income residents of Nassau County. We have 6 venues that we go to at various times. Every Thursday, we are in the Resource Center, which is the lower level of District Court, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Every first Wednesday of every month, we are at the Long Beach Library, and there we are from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Every second Wednesday of the month, we're at the Farmingdale Library, and that's also from 1 to 3. Every third Wednesday, we are at the Hicksville Library, and it's from 1:30 to 3 o'clock. And every fourth Wednesday, from 1 to 2, we are at Franklin Square Library, except for this month in October, from 10 to noon on the fourth Wednesday of the month. We will be starting at the Hillside Library in New Hyde Park. That's going to be an experiment to see if we can run from one library to another very quickly. Just as the Volunteer Lawyers Project uses, we have a panel of volunteer attorneys who, without them, there would be no project. Basically, what was supposed to be just a few areas of law has really turned out to be whoever comes with whatever issue, we try and see what we can help in terms of giving them advice, or sometimes they do bring papers, they're not sure what they are, including sometimes filling it out. Additionally, what we do not do, okay, is criminal law. All right. The program, okay, has been a lot, I would say, pretty successful, because when I started this last September, I had no idea what the need is for a community outreach program where people really had no idea what their legal issues are to begin with, and where they're supposed to go, and what type of help is available to them. And so when somebody comes to us, all right, whether it's at the court or whether it's at a library, we find out from them, they fill out a piece of paper, name, basics, name, address, are they in Nassau County, or, what's, how old they are, because a lot of times their problems might very well be directed to the legal services of Long Island, because it may be something that they can do and help these folks out. When they can't, we have a whole booklet of different agencies, different associations, different places that might be in a better position, all right, to help these folks when they come to us to begin with. It does not involve representation. We do not represent them. The volunteer attorneys do not represent them. It is strictly advice and counsel. And as I say, it has been really surprising to me the number of people that really do need a place to go to ask their questions. And really, basically, that's it. The phone calls that we get, we try to make appointments. I should say Maria tries to make appointments for these folks, because it makes it easier for our volunteer attorneys to have an idea of who's coming, what their basic issues are, and what the timing is, whether there's going to be several people coming or just one person. We do make appointments, but we also, walk-ins are very much welcome. And as I say, we wind up with each day an enormous amount of phone calls. If we can answer their questions on the phone, terrific. If we can guide them to another referral service that is in a better position to help them, we do that. And if we feel that we can make an appointment for them to sit down and meet with somebody face to face, we do that as well. And that's basically what our program is. People come in with, I would say, issues from soup to nuts, from neighborhood disputes to, guardianship as well. Some people come in and just want to know about trusts and wills. Got a lot of, I will say, we wind up with landlords coming to us. Now, the main goal is always with our agency is representing tenants and taking care of tenants. We do not sit down and do the paperwork for the landlords, but we do provide them with the information of how they can seek information, where they can go for the information, which is basically on nycourts.gov. And usually that's enough to satisfy them. If anybody has any questions about what we do, please let me know. And again, I'm going to repeat what Risa said. If there are any attorneys that are on here we are also looking for attorneys. It's not representation. It may be an hour or 2 hours out of your lunchtime. And if one of those libraries are closer to you, it's really very rewarding to be able to help people. And that's about it. And while everybody is on, I just want to say, Maria, thank you so much for all your help. You have been absolutely fantastic keeping up with those phone calls. It's an enormous job. I know what it's like. And I just wanted to formally say thank you so much.
Oh, and Maria's on mute, so we can't, or I can't hear her anyway. So I'm sure that Maria was thanking you for the thanks. But no, we're very excited that Community Legal Help Project is now in Nassau County for a year. Before that, it was just Suffolk County, our Community Legal Help Project. So happy to have expanded into Nassau County. Roberta, do you have like a trend of legal issues that you speak to people about?
A lot of it is landlord tenant because as I say, the landlords are not collecting their money or there's an issue with their tenant, but we get a lot of tenants also. That's almost the easiest to take care of, considering the fact for 16 years I did landlord tenant work. So I don't even need a volunteer attorney for that.
Right.
People are getting worried that they've received a notice of termination, or they've received a document from the landlord saying, you owe me this amount of money, and the tenants are saying, no, I don't. So basically, it's not even advice they're looking for. It's more, I don't know what's going to happen. Could you please tell me what to expect? And that's what we have a tendency to do. And of course, we tell them that if they are brought to court, we refer them to our civil unit that does represent people in court. But there are some really very off the wall issues. When I say neighborhood dispute, I mean, I think I've told you this one, where a neighbor has been living there for years, and new neighbors came behind her with teenage children. One of them likes to play lacrosse, and he invites his friends, and most of the time the balls go into this woman's yard. So she calls the police. Unfortunately, there is nothing that the police can do. It's not really a legal matter, and it's just a matter of what the police told her, and we said the same thing. If the balls go into your yard, do with them what you want. Don't throw it back. Just, you want to make a pile, you want to donate it, fine. Police went to the neighbor and said, just tell your kids not to go after the ball if it goes into the neighbor's yard. I mean, so we get, people's situations that really have no legal ramifications, unless, of course, they started, a major war between the two of them. And once in a while, we get similar things like that. We will have, some of them are really sad. This woman, she has medical issues, and she wrote her daughter out of the will and had her son, who is in Florida, who has basically been paying the mortgage and taking care of his mother, and so leaving everything to him. And so basically, coming to us and wanting to know what to do, because as I say, she wants to write her daughter out of the will. What I found most interesting about the Nassau Community Legal Help Project is people are not so much coming, all right, to hear advice on their problems. the majority of the people want a forum, want somebody just to sit and listen to their problems, whether it's a legal issue or not. They just want to get everything out and off their chest and just have somebody there to lend an ear. I find that that is more than anything that happens.
Mhm. Yeah, and sometimes it's just letting them know. I know that we found in the Community Legal Help Project in Suffolk County, sometimes it's just letting them know that they do have a legal right or they don't have a legal right. Like we had a case where our client's therapist told her that in order that she had to get guardianship over her child, and she had her child like anybody, like in the hospital. She had a birth certificate. So we had to explain to her, you have a birth certificate. You don't need to have guardianship over your child. So even it's just countering the bad information that they get from other people, so that they're less worried and the courts don't have to deal with it also. So thank you.
Absolutely. They just need to hear from somebody. They just want to be reassured that everything will be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else, Roberta? I don't know if I don't see any questions.
Nope, I think that's really basically it. You know, we're at
Erica
the project.
Clemente asks, is there a direction I can send parents who feel their child was given too heavy of a sentence? So do you mean in school or do you mean sentencing in court for like in prison? What are you speaking about? In court? So that would, I would assume, go to some, does anyone know a specific name of an entity? I mean, outside of legal aid, because if they were already given a sentence, it'd probably go somewhere outside of legal aid.
No, we probably would have referred them to legal aid.
Yeah, probably legal aid.
And what some people do not do, they've had legal aid, okay, and they have questions about what happened. My feeling is, well, go back to that attorney that helped you and ask them the questions, because maybe they'll have the answers for you and be able to explain to you what actually happened and why the end result is the end result.
Yeah,
And Sharon, I'll also add, I mean, it's not, I wonder if in the community resource book, they updated it for 2024, if there's any other actual referrals for children who are in the criminal justice system. So that's one thing that we could check and maybe email Erica about. And the other thing is that sometimes even doing a lawyer referral to the Nassau County Bar, where you could get a half-hour consultation for $50, might be a way to go is, and then sit down with a private criminal attorney, defense attorney, if
Right.
someone can't help you at legal
but
aid.
most of the time, if they're gonna have an attorney also. So like
Right.
whether it's through a private attorney or a legal aid or someone with legal aid. So I would suggest the first step would be going back to their attorney and asking them. And then second step, if they're not getting something else, then you see if there's another nonprofit that they could speak to. There's lots of different nonprofits, but it really would probably be dependent. And I can look that up, Erica, to see if, because I'm pretty sure there are some organizations that are specific for children. I just don't know the names off the top of my head, but I can get that information for you, Erica.
There is an updated 2024 manual, and you can get it by going on nycourts.gov.
Okay, I'll send that out to everybody.
Yeah, and it's entitled Community Resources, I believe.
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
And they have that in both Nassau and Suffolk County.
I know Nassau County.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. I did want to just, because we've been getting some feedback from the bar associations that folks, because let's say we can't help them, and so we refer them to the bar association. We've been getting feedback that people people we refer to the Bar Association don't realize that the Bar Association, when they consult with an attorney, that attorney, after the consultation, is going to charge them for any legal services. So apparently the people have been getting upset with the Bar Associations that people don't realize that the Bar Association is for attorneys to hire. Although you can have a brief consultation for a de minimis amount, but though the Bar Association is for people where you actually hire the attorney. So just make sure, I know that might seem obvious, but apparently there have been a lot of people who expect the Bar Association to provide free legal services. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear. If at any point we do give out the Bar Association, it's because it's a case we can't handle, but the Bar Association is not, the attorneys who are with the Bar Association are going to be charging a fee.
Whenever we use the referral service and give it out, Maria and I make sure to let them know that there is a $50 fee involved for the first, half hour.
Yeah, okay, good.
And I do want to add, and Sharon, I could provide you with the flyer on October 29th at the bar. We do have a full day of shifts, I think 2 to 4, 4 to 6, and 6 to 8, where clients can come from Nassau County and they could ask legal questions. They'd have to schedule the consultation in advance. We have volunteer attorneys. Last year, we had over 45 volunteer attorneys, about 160 consultations. And people can come and they can ask questions on all different topics and actually sit down. They'll be matched with attorneys and sit down with them and ask those kind of questions that they have. So that's, again, it's a yearly program that we usually do, but that's an unusual situation where they're meeting with an attorney and they don't have to pay. But again, it's not full representation. It's somewhat similar to the advice and counsel that is offered in the library.
Awesome. All right, thank you. Yeah, and Risa, if you send that to me, I'll send it out to everyone as well.
Okay.
No, Cheryl, the $50 fee is not to get a referral from the bar. And it's dependent upon I can't talk. It's dependent upon the Bar Association. So like the Nassau County Bar Association, if the person gets set up with an attorney, the attorney charges that fee. The bar isn't charging that fee. The attorney is charging that fee for the consultation. And it's the same in Suffolk County, except for right now, it's a $25 consultation fee.
And then Cheryl, what will happen is they'll sit down for the half hour. After that, during that meeting, the attorney will discuss with them if they want them to represent them going forward. These are the fees, and then, they'll sign a retainer and go on. And that's between the attorney and the client.
Right.
But just that initial, when we make the initial referral to the lawyer referral, that half hour consultation is what that fee is for.
Right. Okay, any last questions? Feel free to email me any other questions that you have after this presentation. If you did want a copy, just email me or put it in the chat. I did already have a few people who asked for the presentation. I'll be sending out the Community Legal Help Project flyers for Nassau County, so you have the exact days and times. And then once Risa gets me the flyer as well for the October event, we'll send that out too. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us, and I hope you all have a wonderful Tuesday.